welcome to the Wellness and Growth Journeys podcast. I am your host, Mia Lisa Garnes, founder of the Wellness and Growth Agency. I help women centered wellness brands grow through strategy, storytelling, and digital marketing. And this podcast is all about the real conversations we are not having enough of. Now, today's guest is someone who understands that wellness isn't about how we look. It's about how we feel in our skin, and sometimes feeling seen starts with being seen. So let's get into it. Now, my guest today is Lindsay Hite. Hite?
Hi.
Hite. Lindsay Hite. Hite. I love that. Only because it reminds me of Japanese. And is it yes? Hite. But Lindsay, thank you. You are a photographer and the founder of Show Your Spark, a transformational photo experience that helps women reclaim their confidence, celebrate their journey, and reconnect with their power. So this is going to be an interesting podcast because you are my first photographer. And what
Yay.
drew me to you is because you talk about, bringing out the inner beauty of a woman, which seems to get lost the older that we get, don't we? It just goes. So I love Show Your Spark. So, and give us a little backstory about that. What led you to create Show Your Spark? And then when did you realize that photography could be a healing tool?
Mia Lisa, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to speak with you. You're such a great podcast host, and your platform just speaks to why I'm here. So thank you for that intro. Hi, I'm Lindsay Hite, and I'm the founder and photographer behind Show Your Spark. I'm also a mindset coach, a certified EFT practitioner, and hypnotherapist. So I help women from the inside out show their spark. And I had a career for 15 years as a destination high-end wedding photographer, which I loved. And then I realized I wanted to go deeper. And there's just so much on the wedding day. It's chaos, right? Like
Oh my gosh.
organized chaos, so much pressure for the couples, especially that I was working with. And I just felt this strong pull starting in 2016 to have a deeper way to help women really see their confidence and see their light and tap into that and be able to walk through this world owning who they are and shining brightly instead of trying to dim, make themselves smaller, fit into boxes. I want to help people stand fully in their power and be like, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, and this is what I'm here to do. So that's what Share Your Spark is all about. And we do that through photography, through mindset, and all of it comes together in this beautiful culmination at the end of the experience when they see their photos and then get to hold it in their hands and have that reminder on their wall or in an album, so that they can see that and remind themselves, because that's an anchor for our brains. That's me feeling confident. That's me feeling beautiful. Okay, I can get back to that place whenever I want to.
I love that. I love that. You mentioned weddings. And me thinking back about when I got married, yeah, it was, it was a lot of work. And then I remember at the end of the day, I was so exhausted. We were so exhausted from the day's events. But leading up to that, I guess shifting the focus on image and what I thought about myself. I remember I went on this crazy diet and exercise program. I needed to be skinny and look great in my wedding dress. And then there were a few days leading up to the wedding where I didn't get to work out as much and I was still eating. Do you know that in that short space of time, I put back on a few pounds? So then my dress was a little bit tight, but it fit. And I wasn't really upset or self conscious about it. But I do know that myself and countless other women do the same thing. When, they're getting married, they go through this kind of militaristic, um, regimen of eating just vegetables and exercising daily and, put ourselves through the ringer because we want to look perfect on wedding day. And I feel like that is the only time we put so much effort into looking our best or wanting to look and feel our best. So it's interesting that you brought that up because since then I haven't put myself through that again. Um,
And imagine what it could feel like for women to be able to show up as they are, knowing that they are enough as they are on their wedding day and marry their partner and say, like, this is me. And I feel good in my skin. And I feel like all these eyes are on me and I know that I'm enough. And that's the start to the wedding. So I work with women now who are doing this as like a wedding present for their partner. And they're like, oh, I didn't realize this was for me too. I feel so much more confident going into the wedding day and just really being able to say, what if I'm already enough? What if I don't need to fit myself into this box, in this comparison trap? What if my marriage is unique, just like me and my partner? And what if I can show up as I am? Like, how would that transform that experience for people, right?
I love that. I think it definitely would transform their experience for the wedding because there's so much emotional and mental strain on the day because yeah, there's so much going on. You want people to be happy. You're marrying the love of your life. Hopefully, they're the love of your life, and you want the day to go well. You want everything to go well. You want everything to be perfect. So actually having a step back and saying that this is it, this is enough, and this is going to be beautiful, regardless of what happens, I think would be really important because there are a lot of things that happen that I'm pretty
Yep.
sure has their own stories to tell.
And it's sort of a beautiful precursor for life. Like in this microcosm of a wedding, like there is so much outside of our control in life, as you and I were talking earlier. And what if we learn that earlier? And if the wedding is about the marriage and not just the wedding, that's my soapbox, right? Because I saw so many of my clients really getting trapped in this headspace, like everything has to be perfect. It's like, well, what does that even mean? That's a pursuit that we cannot reach. Perfection is not possible. But if we could reach for a sense of worthiness, a sense of wholeness, a sense of excellence, how we show up, maybe that's more possible to just be ourselves.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I wish I knew that then, but I do know it now.
Yay.
Um, no, you're moving into coaching and mindset work, right? What made you feel like your clients needed more than just beautiful photos? And how are you now supporting them differently?
Oh, that's such a great question. So, I have been specializing in the work I do at Show Your Spark from a photography standpoint for 7 years now. And my clients come to me at different stages of their own personal journey. And depending where they're at in their journey, they're either like, yes, I am so ready for this. I have done the work. Let's go. Or they're like, oh my gosh, this is outside of my comfort zone. I'm terrified, but I know I need to do this. Or I hear from people who are waiting on the sidelines saying, I wish I could do that, but I don't have the confidence. But I love seeing other people that do. So I wanted to help that woman say, I can do this too. And what could it look like for me if I do this? And helping people from a mindset perspective really see their limiting beliefs if they're ready to, right? Because our subconscious needs to be on board if we're going to make any real lasting deep change. So if they are at all curious about doing that work so that they can feel worthy and they can really step into their own power, having tools for that woman who isn't quite ready to get in front of the camera, because that feels like a big leap, meeting her where she's at. Because at the end of the day, my mission is to help as many women as possible show their spark, whether it's in front of the camera, my camera, or not, whether it's in front of their iPhone, taking selfies, showing up with their kids, being present at work, getting that promotion, putting themselves out there. I wanted to just help people who weren't quite ready to be like, all right, let's do this. I'm ready to have my photos taken, but really help guide them through different parts of the process. So that's what made me move into this so that I could support people in a different way and also provide that lasting support after their photo shoot. Because I would hear from people, I work with small business owners on branding photos too. So they'd have the shoot because they know they're supposed to, and it's outside their comfort zone. But they're like, okay, this is for my business, and then they wouldn't post anything, and I would say, why? And they'd say, well, I feel silly posting pictures of myself. I feel like I don't deserve to show up, and so I'm like, there's some mindset blocks we got to work on. You got to show up as you get in front of your business. And so all that stuff, all that head trash stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but you touch on something really important because as an entrepreneur myself, I do feel that kind of like, especially publishing and posting my first podcast, my face on it. Oh, suppose people think, and there was a lot of kind of roadblocks, mental roadblocks that I had to get over in order to just press play, push publish, get it out there. So I could see that, especially with women, um, because it, depending on whenever you start your business, that is right. A lot of business women that I know, entrepreneur women that I know, start like mid 30s, um, and over, right? So some of them already have like kids, and then so they're not feeling their best in their body because they still have like baby weight. Um, they stop taking care of themselves, um, because the kids come first. So the same thing I believe happens with business as well, and we kind of continue to take the back seat, even though it's business and you want it to grow, and um, and even me when I deal with some of my clients, I'm like, you have to get your face out there. They don't want to hear that. They're like, no, I don't wanna. I'm like, but why?
Yeah,
Because
they hide behind the business. And I know because I've done it. My team is constantly like, we need more Lindsay. Like, people need to hear from you. And so everything I am walking through with women, I have walked through myself. I have a 2.5-year-old at home. So I know what it's like to, really be putting the children's needs first. And also, we are here to shine our light. That's what I truly believe. Like, we are here to serve a purpose. We all have our own unique gifts. And by not giving ourselves permission to shine, we are holding back those gifts. So I love that you shared that, Mia Lisa, when you know, first hit publish on your podcast. Yeah, that's a huge leap, right? Like, who am I to do this? But what got you to hit publish? What was that step for you where you're like, I'm doing it?
well, I actually had a life coach. Um, and we went through a bunch of exercises with me kind of tackling my limited beliefs. And I so at the end of the day, I just believe that I'll find my people, the people
Mhm.
who want to engage with the content and the speakers, and who will like me, who will like what I have to say, who would be interested, because all those things were in my head. I was like, oh, suppose they don't like it, suppose they think it's boring, suppose they're like, why is she doing that, like all these kind of negative thoughts, and all of them are always negative, right? None of them are
Mhm.
ever positive thoughts. They're never like, oh, I'll get some views for sure. We never kind of hype up ourselves positively. We just kind of talk down. But it was after going through, our sessions and everything that I was finally ready. I was like, yep, I could do this. Yeah, so what if I only get one view? At least it's out there. I've done it. I'm making strides going forward with my dreams. Because I think there's I don't want my future self to look back and be like, oh, I should have done that. Why didn't I do that? But I don't want to disappoint my future self. So
Yes. You know firsthand. You worked through those limiting beliefs yourself. I love that. And then you could show up, and now look where you are. How many
yes.
podcasts in?
Oh my gosh. 20 something. There's so many. And it's been really great, going forward and stepping into that purpose for sure. And I'm happy that you two found a way to, um, you know, peer coaching with photography in such a meaningful way, especially for us women who, you know, aren't quite confident after a certain. We look back at our pictures. I don't know about you, but I look back at my younger pictures when I thought I was fat. The ones when I thought I was fat. And I'm like, girl, I wish I could talk to you. No, you're not.
Right, right. Our inner critic, it just is always like on our shoulder, creating that narrative. And it's about switching that narrative so that we can show up as our full selves today. Like you say to your younger self, and then it's sort of that little shift of like, well, what if I could say that to myself today? What more could I give, but also how more fulfilled could I feel? And
Yes.
that's so important. And at the time when I started Share Your Spark, I had the literal vision in 2016 of how women all around me having this beautiful light shining. And if I could help them amplify it, like how could the world change if we could all walk in our own light? And at the time, the tools I had were photography. I've been a photographer for many, many, many years. I started in high school, went to college, got my Bachelor of Fine Arts, started my photo business. So at that point, I had been a photographer for about like 12 years. And so I was like, okay, this is my tool. Now I have new tools so I can support people in different ways. And I'm just so thankful because it all relates back to that vision I had. And I had this realization as I'm um, finishing up my certification qualifications and everything right now. I'm like, now these are my tools to be able to show up and serve that same vision, but in a new way at a deeper subconscious level.
I love that. I love that. What is something that you wish more women knew about confidence and identity and self-image, especially once we turn 35 and over?
Oh
What's
my
something
God.
that you wish that we knew?
I just have like a whole flood of ideas coming.
Give us top three. Give us top three.
I think that where I am right now working with women is this sense of reclamation. Like, who does it serve for us to stay small, right? Who does it serve for us to stay quiet? Who does it serve for us to hide? Not us. Not the people that could benefit from us. And like our children are watching, we can show up better for them. We can show up better for ourselves, for our team members, if we're a boss, for our team, if we're on, a team in an organization, all of the things that we have within us, if we give ourselves permission. But I think the boxes that we've created are just internalized um, external limitations that we have placed on ourselves because that's how we knew to stay safe. That's how we knew to be accepted by the pack, right? I want to be accepted by my people, so I'm going to follow these rules. But when we really go inwards and ask ourselves, like, who is this serving? Do I feel good doing this? That's what I want more people to know, is asking themselves, what if I am enough? What if I am worthy exactly as I am? Like just getting curious, because it's a big leap for like this whole self-love, body positivity movement. I love it. But it's a big leap for people who are sitting in shame, that not enoughness, who are constantly berating themselves every day, feeling like they're not enough. And so there's this cycle. If
Yes.
we can just get curious about like, well, what if I do this thing that feels good for my body? What if I go for a walk? What if I drink more water instead of like, I should be doing this? Right?
Right.
Like that kind curiosity, if we can change that inner narrative. And the other piece I would say is my training as a mindset coach really opened my eyes to this, is that only 5% of our brain uses our conscious brain. 95% is subconscious. So that's what's running the show, are these like internalized beliefs. And we try to fix it all through willpower. But really, when we can get underneath,
Yeah.
that willpower is just a little bit at the top. We have
Yes.
so much more strength and possibility if we can kind of look back and say, where did this belief come from, like you did with your coach, and how can I update it to serve me better today?
I think yes. For me, the coaching did. kind of made me say, oh, these things are really like underneath. Like these are some deep, deep kind of beliefs that I have about myself. And you really have to get in there, which could seem a bit scary, and kind of wrestle them to the ground. Like you really have to be honest with yourself, um, and not give like a surface answer, the surface answer that you've been giving yourself and others for years. Um, so you're right. It really has to start. I guess to sound cliche, within and deep within, for you to really make any real changes in your life.
Yeah, and that can feel scary because we exile those parts, so to speak. Like we want to banish them to the shadows. Like, I don't see you. No, I'm confident. I don't have issues with that, right? But when we can bring them into the light, like Brene Brown says, shame thrives in the darkness, but it dies in the light. And so when we can really bring light to those parts and give them some compassion too, then they'll stop trying to berate us from the shadows.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, you've worked with hundreds of women, right? Are there certain patterns that you notice, like are there common emotional blocks, fears, and limited beliefs that come up during or after a shoot?
Yes. It's funny. Everybody wants to tell me what their hangups are about their body, right? So that I as a photographer can be aware of them and pose them accordingly. And I also do wardrobe consults and I help people pick out their outfits. And every so many women are like, I am just uncomfortable with my belly. And I'm like, no way, you too? Like literally I'd say, 80% of the women are like, my belly. And they think they're the only one, right? Oh, I'm the only one who feels this way because everybody else is perfect. No,
Yes,
everybody has that spot. And I always ask them, okay, I totally respect that. We'll choose outfits and poses that make you feel beautiful so that you feel supported and me knowing that. But also, what if we did a photo where you felt beautiful and you could see your belly? What if that could close that loop and you could feel whole with that part of you that you have tried to exile? And so I give them that opportunity to get a little curious. So that's one commonality that it always just makes me laugh when someone, I try not to laugh out loud because I do want to hold space. And that's like a real thing, right? We have real hangups about our bodies, but every woman is like, my belly. I'm like, oh, everybody else too. You're not alone. um, and then other things, I think, just I can always tell someone's going to have a great experience when they say, this is outside of my comfort zone, but I know that I need to do it. So that little bit of fear is actually just the precursor to excitement. So I love hearing that. And that is something that a lot of women have in common. It's less like, I'm nervous to take the leap, but I know that something really great is waiting for me on the other side. Um, so I know that's not a limiting belief because they're already open to change. They're already open to the
right,
possibility.
right, right. So you said, two things. You said taking a photo with, the belly, and like I had like a little fear jump in my stomach, like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. And you said that your response to, women when they say, oh, my belly, and she's like, oh, you too. And you're right, like, we think for some reason that we're the only ones that feel this way and going through this, and no one else feels self-conscious. And you'll be surprised. There is a popular, I won't name her, but there's a popular influencer that I watch, and she had two beautiful daughters, and she went on this kind of, she exercised and diet and that kind of thing to lose, the baby weight and everything. And when I thought she was looking perfect, she had other ideas. She's like, and if you see Lindsay, the fact that she was like, oh, I still have this on my tummy, and I'm like, where? I'm watching her on YouTube though, so I can't say that. But I mean, I could, I guess, in the comments. But I'm like, but where are you? I feel like you just pulling. But it was bothering her, and it was bothering her so much that she got like liposuction to get it removed, and now she's all happy with it and everything. But she saw something that I'm pretty sure none of her followers or watchers, subscribers saw. But she was so self-conscious about it. And she I guess in turn then felt like that she didn't feel beautiful or her best self because of this little pudge that only she noticed. um so it, yes, I agree with you, that is one, probably one of the most common things, especially after you had kids, that women seem to struggle with and have insecurities about.
Yeah, and unrealistic expectations, let's be honest. Like, when will it be enough for her? Like, and it is also like, okay, you want to feel good in your body. I've experienced this firsthand. I had a C-section and I lost the muscle in my core, and I had back spasms. I had back pain. So I wanted to regain that strength for me to feel good in my body, you know? Today,
Yes,
they kind of set the tone for, you watch a video and you're like, oh, wow, she's having these thoughts about herself. Maybe I should have these thoughts about
yes,
myself. I'm invested in her journey. And I noticed people get on this literal treadmill, but also a mental treadmill of like, when is it ever going to be enough? And I was mentioning that I had a C-section, and I've experienced firsthand like loss of muscle in my abdomen. And so it was actually causing me like back spasms and a lot of pain. And so I was like, all right, I want to get my abs strong again, right? Because it was impacting my quality of life. So that's one thing. Obviously, if your health is impacting your quality of life and you want to feel better and live more fully, I'm absolutely not one to say don't do something that will help you feel better. But my
right,
question is just like get curious about, well, why do I feel like it's never toned enough, small enough? And what if living to, you know, in a way that makes you happy is enough? And also, the influencer you were talking about, I just asked people to question like, she gets paid endorsements, people have products featured. There's reasons why influencers are constantly promoting different things because like it's part of their
yeah,
profitability ecosystem, right?
yes, yes, yeah.
So I
Plus,
always ask
plus I
people,
feel
yeah, go.
like they have their own pressure to be perfect, especially women. Because I think there's like, if I look perfect and beautiful and and I obsess over the perfect photo to go up on Instagram, I'm gonna get more followers and more promotions. And I mean, really is a vicious, problematic kind of cycle if you think about it from their point of view. um but that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, I was quite sad to hear when she thought that of herself, because I was like, oh my god, you're just this beautiful woman who just had these two amazing kids, and you're doing well for yourself and everything, and to hear that you still not happy and not happy with your body even though you look amazing. I felt quite sad for her.
And that's that inner work, right? That's the subconscious work that she may be called to do in the future. And that's culture around having the perfect photo to post on Instagram there very much does tie into the work that I do here, because we are so used to contorting our bodies in a certain way for a certain pose to look like this. And then we look in the mirror and we look like this. And it's like, well, what if all of it is okay? There is no perfect, but we can just keep doing our best. And that's what I help my clients with too. When they see their photos in this room, when they have their premiere at the end of the day, they see their photos and I tell them, you're not going to love every photo, and that's okay. I don't love every photo of myself. My goal is for you to see your essence shining through and be able to be like, that's her. There she is. I lost her for a moment, but now she's back, and ooh, she looks good. And being able to see that for themselves, So I do encounter it sometimes in here, and that was a motivation to become certified in mindset work as well, because I've had women tear themselves apart on the big screen when they felt so free and confident in the studio. That old narrative, that old voice just pops up right next to them on the couch. And I say to them, who is that making those judgments? Is that how you truly feel, or is that how you think others see you? And so much of it is just that head trash.
Yourself, right? It's usually yourself. You're the one who's speaking worse about yourself, right? And you're not telling people about it, but you're telling yourself about it, and that's bringing you down. Um, so then, how do we escape this? Is there like one thing we could do today, even if it might be something small, to kind of reconnect with our confidence, our joy, give us a little bit of spark so that when we step out the house today or whenever or tomorrow, we feel like just a little bit like our confidence is raised just a little bit, ready to face the world.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love that question. I'm going to go back to something you mentioned, seeing photos of your younger self and wishing you could tell her how amazing she looks. What if we write ourselves a letter? Write ourselves a letter saying what we're thankful for. Even you could write yourself a letter to younger you. What did she need to hear? Because when you heal past you, you're also healing current you. You're stepping into that version of you that can support the previous versions of yourself. And so when you look in the mirror, instead of picking apart all the flaws, maybe you sit for a moment and just breathe, right? You don't have to be like, I love this, I love that. Because again, that's a big leap from judgment to gratitude. But you could start by just seeing yourself, making eye contact in the mirror and being like, I see you. We're here. You're doing this. You're showing up. And even you could put your hand on your heart. So that's one thing, is just like reconnecting with that present moment with your breath. If that feels too scary, looking in the mirror and doing that, you could write yourself a little note of gratitude, either to past you, future you, or you in this moment. You could write a gratitude list, because when we connect to gratitude in the present moment, it can ignite those feelings of worthiness, of enoughness. Maybe you're grateful that you ate breakfast, or that you scheduled a walk in later with a friend, or that you woke up, right? Thanking your body for how it shows up for you, and all of the resources that you have. Sometimes that takes us out of that narrative in our head and opens our eyes to the whole panorama of everything that's supporting us, nourishing us, helping us show up and shine our light.
Love that. Love that. Um, I do know about people talk about healing the inner child, and there are a lot of phrases that go around, but a lot of people don't really know what that means or even how to even approach that. So I do like that example or task that you could do, rating yourself, uh, your inner child, your past self a letter, um, maybe telling her, and don't be negative. Not gonna be like you did a lot of nonsense. No, let's start with because
Ask yourself, what does she need to hear? Like, what does she need to hear in that moment? Because you can see it all over your face. I know when I look at pictures of myself, I was scared. I was like, am I enough? Am I doing this enough? I'm constantly trying to like be enough, right? And so if I could write a letter to younger me, which I have done, and tell her all the good things that are waiting for her, but also all the things she already is, that can really help us show up in the present moment as well.
all right. Well, we didn't touch on any business questions because I felt like the conversation was just flowing so nicely. I didn't want to kind of do like an abrupt kind of stop and then get into business, but marketing, because that's what I do. That's what I'm about. How do you reach your people? What, I guess, platforms work for you, and how do you connect with the women who really need you the most?
Marketing is the one piece of the business puzzle that is always changing. And I'll just be honest and say what worked last year doesn't work this year. What worked 5 years ago like
Fact.
does not work now. So honestly, one constant is pivoting, remaining flexible, becoming curious. What I'm doing right now is I'm posting on Instagram and showing people behind the scenes in the studio as much as I can, because that helps people think, oh, wow, I could picture myself there.
Yes.
People find us through Google. Google searches is honestly the biggest way people are finding us to start. I also do a lot of in-person events, which I love because I think there's so much magic when women come together and gather in one space and are authentic, just like we are right now. So we just hosted our second annual gala to celebrate our Fierce After 40 project back in April. And we've raised money for a great cause to help end domestic violence and just other opportunities for women to gather and be like, I see you and I'm here too. And just that like recognition of ourselves and others. For me, those people may come into the studio at some point, but I just love gathering people together. And I think that's the most powerful marketing, is creating the movement associated with what you do as a business and inviting people in.
I love that. Like you say, marketing just shifts. It just shifts all the time. Like you say, what been working last year might not be working this year. And yes, you always have to be ready to pivot to meet the need of people. Because like before, I don't know if people still do it, but yes, I would look for like reviews before I would
Oh
see
yeah.
a company, but I want to see reviews first. I want to see, you know, what other people have to say before I even think about engaging them. And
Mhm.
then if I contact you in any way and there's any kind of negativity in that first kind of contact, then it's like, no.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you could do all the marketing, put all the money out there and everything, but if you don't have that kind of sincerity and connection on first contact, then you might have lost, a really good potential customer or client.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for your insights, Lindsay. Is there anything here that we haven't touched on that you think we should talk about before we end off?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've just really enjoyed our conversation together, and I want to thank you for amplifying my voice on your show and giving me the opportunity to share what I do. So, all I have to say is gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you too, as well, Lindsay, for being here and sharing your heart, your art, and your mission. To everyone listening, remember your body is not just a before and after story. It's a map of where you've been and proof that you're still here, still growing, and still glowing and stepping into who you are as a person. Um, and if this conversation spoke to you, please subscribe, leave a review, leave a comment. I'm sure Lindsay would love to see what you have to say, and share it with a woman who needs a reminder that she is already enough.
Yes.
Until next time, wellness is a journey, but growth is the destination. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us on another Wellness and Growth Journeys podcast. Now, if you're inspired to elevate your health and wellness business, the Wellness Growth Agency is here to guide you. We specialize in tailored digital marketing strategies to enhance your client engagement, grow your practice, and improve overall satisfaction. Let's unlock the potential of your business together. Visit us at wellnessgrowthagency.com to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more insightful episodes. Until next time, keep thriving and remember, wellness is a journey. Growth is the destination.